we have Dr. Joan Semelis with us, as always. But we also have Thomas Wright. A lot of you guys, especially my Creole listeners, have been with this gentleman for a long time. But we're going to, he's a wellness specialist, and he's also an author. He wrote one of the greatest books about his work that at the time at CareMax. So we're going to get into that, but our main concentration is going to be how you merge the medical side with the exercise so that you could have a long-term life or a quality of health. Okay, so we'd like to welcome both of you gentlemen. Welcome to Source of Information. Dr. Semelis, you are regular. You are a co-host, actually. But Tom, obviously in the future, I'm sure you're going to be doing more visit with us. Welcome to Source of Information as well.
Thank you.
We don't want to leave your beautiful wife.
I apologize to Thomas Wright. Okay, Thomas Wright is somebody else.
No, we don't want to
He's
leave.
speaking of someone else.
We don't want to leave his beautiful wife aside. Thank you for bringing him down.
You're welcome.
Well,
You might want to get her on here sometime, talking about vitamins and the effect that they can have on your well-being.
that's a good idea. We're gonna talk a little bit about that when it comes out of the first visit later on.
Yeah.
On both this hour and the following hour as well. Let's put it this way. We want to talk about. First of all, let me give everybody the news that both of you gentlemen now are part of Alto Health. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So both of us, we have joined this new organization that it's called Alto Health. I think we heard the spot in Creole, Alto Health. We want to get higher. We want to improve people's life to live healthy, quality life. We both worked at CareMax. Myself, I left CareMax at the end of March this year, and I decided to join Alto. And thank God, Alto is gonna start our first clinic next week. Next week, we're gonna be operating our first.
Yeah, we're going to
clinic.
start seeing patients starting the 1st of July.
Yes.
No,
yes.
the 1st of July is a Sunday. So 2nd of July
2nd of July, 1st of July is a Tuesday.
is a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Well, I got it.
Next Tuesday.
So much
will
for
be-
your calendar.
Yeah. So Tom and I, I've known him since I used to work at CareMax. I've always appreciated what he does for the patients. The patient are very appreciative of what he does, the way he does it, and well, I let him explain more.
What did you used to do for people who doesn't know what you do? Explain to them exactly what you do, because you've been doing it for 11, 12 years
At CareMax.
at CareMax.
but
you know-
probably another 10 years before that.
But let's concentrate on the part with CareMax, because I saw the improvement with some of the patients, and you really see it between the during COVID, before COVID, and after COVID, and you see the huge difference for my mother-in-law and others. Explain to our listeners, what do you do?
Well, you have to start with the concept of integrated healthcare. And what that means is you have two areas of healthcare. If something goes wrong, you go see the doctor and you've got medicine. To keep from getting something going wrong, you come to a wellness clinic, or when we say wellness, we mean not only exercise, but also nutrition, and mental wellness as well. And so the wellness is basically keeps you out of the doctor's office, hopefully. But when you do go, a lot of times there is an integrated portion to recovery. So otherwise, so say you have a knee replacement. You go to your normal recovery process, but then when that's done, you need to be with us, because we can do things that can help you out. And also, too, hypertension, very much a wellness portion of that, and type 2 diabetes, which, of course, a very large portion of older people have. If they're older people from African descent, almost all of them have it. So we can help and deal with that to make your life a little more comfortable and a little better.
A lot of time, you have come to me, or even go to the doctors, and trying to coordinate with the doctors what you should do with a particular patient, whether the patient has a pacemaker or heart issue. Let Dr. Semulus chime in, and how you guys are able to work together to get the quality of life for our patients.
No, absolutely. And before we go into that, one of the things that we always preach on this show is about preventive medicine. And the way I see Tom's job is kind of integrated in what we're trying to achieve. I believe a lot in terms of the patient to prevent them from getting sick, and he mentioned certain conditions, high blood pressure, diabetes, which is two of the topics we discuss a lot on this show. By what he does, right, the exercise that he does, he can prevent but also stabilize many of the patients with these conditions. So sometimes it's not these conditions only. Sometimes we get people, like he said, after a knee surgery, but also you have people with chronic back pain. And I mean, that's something that's mostly almost every elderly, they have chronic back pain. And sometimes they go to physical therapy, Gilbert, and it makes their life worse. They say, well, after physical therapy, things are getting worse. I just don't want to continue it anymore. And then when they go to him, there's certain type of exercise, certain movements that he works with them, and he allows them to get certain functionality. So in the rehabilitation process, he helps them, and that's one of the things that we want, because treatment is not only getting a pill, is not only getting an injection. We want people to get empowered, to people to participate in their own recovery. So that's he has helped a lot, and by letting him know, listen, this guy had a fracture. What can you do to help him? This person has pain all over the place, but let's focus on this particular area. So it's been a blessing to have him, because many patients, some of them have lost. I mean, when they started, they don't have no mobility at all. Or they're using a wheelchair or a walker, and then by a few months, you see that they're gaining functionality. They start being more active. So that's the kind of stuff that we work with.
One of the things that I appreciate with Tom, and in terms of the exercise, when you send somebody outside for physical therapy, the insurance allow a certain amount of physical sessions. That's the proper word. A certain amount of session. With you, it's unlimited.
It's unlimited.
A perfect example. You have one patient that was in an accident, car accident, and without mentioning the patient's name, I think the hospital bill was $500,000, and you were able to do your therapy with that particular patient. And I used to see you every day. He would come after everybody left, and you would spend 30 minutes to an hour with him to trying to rehabilitate him. Talk about that.
Well, this gentleman actually showed up for the very first class I taught at CareMax. He was there. And then I didn't see him again for probably 15 months or so. And it turns out that after that class, he was involved in a very bad accident. Some guy ran a red light in a truck and hit the car that he was riding in. And it crushed his shoulder on his left side and his hip on the left side. So when I saw him the next time, he rolled in a wheelchair. So I asked him, about his injuries, and we talked a little bit. And I said, well, what do you think? You want to get out of that wheelchair? And he says, man, do I? And as you know, he walks all over the place.
He walks all over the place with a cane.
I didn't know he was in a wheelchair before. I know Bishop Vitara, but I didn't know he was in a wheelchair.
No, he came in a wheelchair, and he couldn't get up. And I said, is there any reason why you can't get up? What did the docs tell you? And he said, no, there's no reason I can't get up. I just can't get up. So we just started working with him, and because he really couldn't take the classes per se, so we worked with him a little bit every day after class, and now he walks all over the place. But one thing which I want to talk about was the docs go in, you go see the doc, and you get about 15 minutes, usually. Whereas in the wellness clinic, we run 2.5 to 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time with those people. And sometimes you pick up things that maybe don't get picked up other places. But one of the important things that we learn there is most Haitian folks that are in fact, Caribbean island people, period, that were in service jobs like hotels, hospitals, things like jobs like that. And those jobs produce certain types of injuries, injuries which can be debilitating in your older age and cause a lot of pain. For instance, someone comes to me and they touch their bicep on either arm, usually the right arm, and it's, oh, it hurts so bad, And I said, did you work in a hotel? Were you a housekeeper in a hotel? Oh, yes. And certain jobs, like housekeeping in a hotel, for instance, wrecks your biceps. And it's because of the pulling of the sheets when you think about how they work in that job. And so if you understand those job-related injuries and the repetitious injuries, then you can oftentimes come up with plans to maybe not eliminate the pain altogether, but make it more manageable. And also, in pain management, there is this concept of being able to, deal with it, not only lessen it, but also deal with it, so that you can go ahead and have a normal, productive life. Quality of life, of course, is everything.
Exactly. Anybody, the line is open for you guys. 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. Call in right now with your questions. You will be able to by the way, we are live on Facebook and YouTube on WSRF 1580 AM. Subscribe so you could have this show every single time we're on the air. We promise that we're going to do better. We have not done better thus far, but we're going to continue to strive to do better after the opening of the new clinic, which is located at 4850 West Oakland Park Boulevard, Suite 125 in Lauderdale Lakes, Florida. Stop by, call, and visit. Alto Health, we're going higher. So, do you have any question for him? Because
Oh, yeah,
I know you.
yeah. No, one of the things that I've seen is that he's massively popular, and as a matter of fact, in our previous practice, it's kind of both of us are in competition. And
I'm a lot more popular than you are.
There you go. There you go. He believes that. So let's see.
Let him have it.
Well,
He's
maybe we
older.
should ask the question, the patients. But so
I have to say sometimes, oh, come on now, he's a nice guy.
so my question: what is your motivation?
You know, I'm just a few months away from being 80 years old myself. And so you, at some point in your life, you want to do something that's helps other people, worthwhile. You know, sometimes it has to go beyond the money. And it was, should I tell you how I got the job to start out with?
Let me tell you. I'm going to let you tell it to me. I remember Rosa Perez came to me about the idea. I'm like, and so Rosa put it together with Silver Sneakers.
Yeah.
And trying to get somebody to come on board. And I think from that point on, Rosa made it happen. I'll let you finish with your side of it.
Actually, I'm talking about before that, how I actually got into that business.
Oh, okay.
When Silver Seekers started, my wife worked at a health club, and she volunteered me to go take the class and teach the class there. At that time, I was still in the movie business, and I'm going like, I don't know if I want to do that. You know? But then I did it for a while, and I quit. And then things happened that I actually needed a job. And, you know, at that time I was, you know, well into my 50s. And I had this, you know, the credentials now, because I'd been working at it for a while and going to school. And they had an opening down in Liberty City in Miami. And
Excuse me.
they couldn't get any of the instructors to go down there.
And you were the brave one to go down
I
Liberty
said,
City.
you know, I don't think I'll have a problem down there. And then because I was there, they sent me to another place where there were all Haitian folks. There was African Americans down in Liberty City. But you know, after a while, you get to know the culture. You get to, I can't speak the language, but I know lots of things about the culture and about the people and where they came
You
from.
pick up a few words already.
I pick up a few words, all right. During a birthday party they had, my son-in-law brought us down, and we learned what a bofi is.
Oh, Bofis, yes.
But that's basically how I got started into it. And once you start to get learning about the culture and the jobs they did and the things that are going on, then you start to understand a little bit better about the problems and start working on how to fix the problems. And so and another thing we might want to mention here, I think, too, is we have our physical health,
Mm-hmm.
but we also have our mental health, and I think mental health is very, very important. And one of the students at CareMax, students, patients, came and said, one of the great things about this is we get out of the house and we come down and we laugh and cut up and we dance some in the class.
And pray.
And pray, and there are all kinds of things in there. And it makes us feel much better. And one of the worst things that you can have as a senior, and it's funny because we just experienced this with some very old friends of ours, is isolation. And isolation is, it really is, we talk about you can live to 100, but if you can do nothing more than just sit on the couch for the last 40 years, what's the purpose?
One thing I realized, is that a lot of people might know that my dad recently, well, not recently, it's been close to a year. Both my dad, they end up in a nursing home. And when I realized that, especially for my mother-in-law, she was very active in your exercise
Very
class.
active.
Okay. And when COVID hit, they stopped going to exercise.
Right.
And the vast majority of those people are walking with a cane, on a wheelchair, and the next step is nursing home because they lose their lower extremities. Talk a little bit about that, the type of exercise that you do to help them maintain their lower extremities, keep it strong.
Yeah. Well, we have a whole bunch of different types of exercises. For instance, we do yoga.
Mm-hmm.
We do Tai Chi.
Yeah, I remember seeing you bring in some Chinese,
Yes.
a Chinese couple.
Yeah, yeah. We do Qigong. So all of these different types of disciplines, I guess you would call,
Mm-hmm.
basically do the same thing, but they do it in a slightly different way. Plus, it adds a little bit of fun. There's nothing, in my opinion, more drudgery than going to a gym and saying they're pushing weight around all day. But if you can do something with a group and you're constantly challenged mentally, which we need to get into that too, that can help build up the muscles in your, not only in your legs, in your back. You got to understand, if you've got back pain, particularly in the lower back, the first place you look at a patient is in the condition of his or her quadriceps group muscles
Mm-hmm.
in the upper leg. Chances are those legs are very, very weak. And so you start building up those muscles, and then next thing you know, the back pain is less or goes away. So sometimes where the pain is not necessarily where the problem is.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Okay, we use the problem. If you have back pain, particularly lower back pain, it may be a muscle up here in the top of the back
Mm-hmm.
that is pinching on one of the nerves up there, like for instance, the sciatic nerve. So you have to kind of look around to see exactly where the problem is. And the first thing we always do is to check the strength of the legs, because if the legs are weak, particularly in the upper thigh, which usually happens with people who have osteoarthritis of the knee, because their leg hurts and because the knee is killing them, and so they don't do exercises, they don't walk, they avoid going up and down stairs. Why? Because it hurts, So we try to get them exercises to do that is does not put strain on the knee,
Mm-hmm.
and still builds up the leg. Like for instance, isometric exercises, and then we use stretching and also too some meditation to
Okay. Okay.
help get rid of the pain, manage the pain.
Yeah, my wife was going through some pain last night, and I was telling her, keep breathing, breathe. But Dr. Semiris, how do you bring the aspect of the medical side with the exercise, join them together, and where you guys are able to work together to get the optimum results?
Yeah. So exercise is one of the component of making sure that you have a good health.
Mhm.
I always tell people, in order to have good health, you gotta make sure that you control what you eat.
Yes.
That's very important. You control, well, obviously, I don't want to say drinking is drinking water is very important. But also you make sure you sleep enough, right? But also you have to be active. You really have to be active. He mentioned about there's not only physical health, there's also mental health. Exercise helps both. I mean, the quantity of benefits you get from exercise is so huge that even though you limited, you have poor mobility, you have to find a way to be active. If you're on a wheelchair, you have to move your upper body. You have to find a type of exercise that is appropriate. That's why I always tell everybody, exercise as tolerated.
Yes.
I mean,
as
your
tolerated, yes.
body will let you know you cannot go beyond that. So you always go a little bit further each time. You make sure that you test yourself to see if you can do more. But we always tell everybody you have to be active. At least do 5 days of exercise every week. At least, if you can do every day, that's perfect.
Speaking about that, when are we going to play racquetball?
There we go. So you still. I got sick last week because my activity level was low. So I know that's a problem. So that's why I had to get back on a routine exercise. Exercise is key to maintain a good health.
Yeah.
Exercise help your mental health. The certain hormones in your body, when you exercise, they work better. They move better. You become happier when you exercise. I don't know how much energy that you see that you get after you exercise. Certain condition, and we just mentioned that. Every time you exercise, you lower your blood pressure. Every time you exercise, you lower your sugar. Every time you exercise, you become a better man. Every time you exercise, you become a better woman. So every time you exercise, you're increasing your life expectancy.
Talk to me about the stress level, because I'm speaking for myself. I'm constantly under a lot of stress, whether you guys realize it or not.
I did notice that.
Yeah.
So
There is no doubt that the more you exercise, the more control you have over your stress. The anxiety decreases. Physiologically, there's a lot of ways you can explain that. Your body becomes more relaxed, and it affects your mind big time. So you have to realize that the population we serve, they don't have lots of flexibility. They cannot run a marathon. They cannot.
but they could walk a long distance.
Well, some of them cannot even walk. Some of them. So this is where he comes, because the certain exercise I'm preaching, or I want to preach, they cannot do it. I mean, myself, I have my two legs. You have your legs. you can go and exercise. We can play racquetball, but many of our patients, they cannot do that. So he has to come up with some types of exercise, and he makes it so fun.
Right.
Then people want to come back. Hey, I want to do it over and over and over, and they can go for 1 hour, and they're still not tired. So that's the good thing that we have with this guy.
Earlier, you were talking about lower back. You were talking to me the other day about. Actually, we were actually doing the exercise, throwing the basketball back and forth. And tell me, when you do that, what part of your body does it affect?
Well, I use the basketball toss. Actually, we do a lot of basketball drills. If you've noticed, we had some people come in and they hear 8 or 10 basketballs hitting the floor at the same time. It sounds like a heat workout or
Practice
something.
yeah.
But the basketball itself is a great tool for a whole bunch of different things. But if a person has middle back pain, the motion of the proper tossing of the basketball, if you watch an NBA player pass the ball, say from the guard to the forward, they use a certain technique. And that technique stretches and strengthens the back. And so you have two things which help eliminate pain in a muscle, which is, of course, building strength and extension. And also, it actually helps in the third way too, because it increases circulation, which of course gets rid of inflammation and gets nutrients into the muscle area, which helps the muscle cure itself. So, but we also use basketball for concentration drills. We use it for cognitive declines. We use it for speed. Speed being actually one of the things that is very important in senior exercise. You get real slow and you can't, so we try to keep the speed up. The people are moving quicker, thinking faster. We have an exercise where we put 6 or 7 people in a row on either side, and they pass the ball back and forth, and then the guy at one end rolls it down through the center, and then the person down at the other opposite and starts it over again. And then we put another ball in there, and then another ball, then another ball. Next thing you know, you've got 5 or 6 balls going at the same time, and you have to really think, concentrate. Person who's never done that drill before gets in, and they pass the ball, and they're, oh, what's going on? Bang! There's another ball right in their hands, and so these are the kinds of exercises that we do, and like I said, we don't stay on anything very long. We do one thing, and then we go on to the next.
You also use the stretch rubber.
Stretch bands.
Stretch band, you call it.
Yeah, those are basically strength building tools.
Okay.
We have, right now we're using 7 different instruments, personal instruments. Weights, stretch band, ball. What the patients call cha-chas, which are maracas.
Well, we call it cha-cha in Haiti.
Yeah, cha-cha, okay. Anyway, by the way, keeping time musically is a very important exercise, and it's for mental health. It's really one of the best. Rhythm is part of our nature as human beings, and we don't want to lose that ability to maintain rhythm. So at a point in the class, everybody gets out their cha-chas, and we put on Earth, Wind, and Fire or something like that, and away we go. You know?
You know, one of the things that I appreciate about you is knowing you all these years. I'm dating myself now. Is that when you walk into the exercise class and you see an older person doing the exercise, and that motivate those people that's younger, that's in that class, or even older that's in that class, that said, hey, if he's doing it, I could do it as well.
Well, we have a couple of 90-year-olds that do everything.
Yeah, there's a gentleman you were talking about. Yes, you tell me that. Listen, for everyone that's listening, I am not only in this session, but in the following session, I'm going to make you guys a promise. If anybody that's not in the exercise class that want to come to that, I'm going to get into a lot of trouble for this, but hey, there you go. So far today, Dr. Simmons, how many trouble have I gotten myself into?
Don't worry about it.
We're going to invite them to come to your class, even if they are not yet part of Alto Health. So we're just going to invite them. Talk to me about that particular gentleman that he's 90 years old.
Yeah.
And yet he's doing everything that you're doing.
Sure. And when he first came, he was. By the way, I have. We counted up. We had 11 people participating that were in the very first class I taught. Still there. But this guy came after COVID, and he had a bad shoulder, and he couldn't move his shoulder, and he had a bad back, and he was all bent over and everything like that. So he was really enthusiastic, and a little too enthusiastic, and he started bouncing on a yoga ball and flipped over, and so we had to walk him over to the clinic. But he was back the next day, and he's learned how to do all this stuff. And at that time, he was, 86, and he's learned how to do all the different things, and I could walk out of the room, and he could just keep on going. So it is very possible to learn a lot of very complex movements and a lot of difficult movements even after the age of 80. You can learn these things.
305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. Call me. Let me hear from you guys right now. We have Tom Wright. He's a wellness specialist, renowned author. We're going to ask you a little bit question about the book. What give us a resume. First of all, what motivates you to write that book? And because I think during the time you were in Camex, and that was part of it, but I'll let you talk about that. But listen, give us a call right now. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. 305-945-1580, 305-945-1580. So the next book you're going to write, maybe you'll include Dr. Semilus in that.
Maybe,
Yeah. And Tom, don't worry if you see that it's 5 minutes left or 3 minutes left, and people asking you a question that should be answered in 30 minutes. So this is the show. So that's how it is.
Now, a lot of our disease that we have are what Doc here would refer to as lifestyle disease.
All disease, or mostly.
Yeah.
Most of our disease. Some of them we inherit them, but many of our disease
our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And for instance, diabetes type 2, or the sugar, as we hear it, as I would say, 99%.
Well, there's a
lifestyle.
little bit of part you inherit, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
very small amount.
You inherit, but you can modify it. That means that your parents, they give you a gift, if you want to say it. So Here you go. You had a chance of becoming diabetes. What are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna sit around and wait for it to happen, or you're gonna move around and prevent it?
Yes.
So that's the way to go around it. That's the way to see it. So you can, or the other way is diabetes happened, right? It did happen. What are you gonna do about it? Are
Yeah.
you gonna drink pills only, or you gonna do pills with exercise, or sometimes exercise and diet only can control it. Many people can control it with exercise and diet only.
Yeah.
But this is our culture, our society is, I want the magic bullet. I want the silver bullet, right?
You want the pill.
I want the pill, or the new thing is I want
Ozempic.
the injection.
The
I want the weekly injection to
You know, what I
get
do is
rid of the weight.
here. Let me take this pill, and then I can go back doing everything. I do.
Let me
Yeah.
get the pill
Yeah,
and
you-
go back to eating the way I used to eat. So those are the lifestyle modifications that we need to do to get healthy. Again, the diet is very important, but exercise is also. You have to. You really need to make sure that we teach the patients, and that's why it has to be multidisciplinary. We teach them. It's not about going to the doctor and letting the doctor know everything, but what is your part? Your part is you have to modify your way of life so you can become healthier, so you can live longer, so you can have a very good quality of life. That's what it is all about, and that's why you are part of Alto Health, because we believe you not only help people live longer, but they have a very good quality of life. And they go to your exercise sessions, it's like they're getting an orgasm.
We have some exercise that helps
With
with
a
that.
happy ending and stuff.
We do our Kegels pretty much every day, which has a number of advantages.
For example,
Well, if you're male, the Kegels keep you out of the bathroom.
okay.
You know, of course, you're not old enough yet to worry about this, but older gentlemen oftentimes have to go to the bathroom a lot. And if you do your Kegels, this helps that out. Ladies, they have problems where their tummy falls down, and the Kegel helps keep that in condition. And you know,
That's
I
one
hate-
of the exercises the urologist wants you to do when you cannot control your bladder, when you have urinary incontinence. This
Ke-
is the
Kegel, yeah.
exercise that will help you. Now, again, you want the pill. You don't want to learn the modify your way of life. You want the pill. I can give you the pill. It's gonna give you a lot of side effects.
Yes.
It's gonna cost some money.
Yeah.
But why don't you learn to do something, exercise, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's so many subject to cover. There's so many different element in a session to cover. How do you decide what you're going to do on a particular day? What are you going to concentrate on a particular week?
Well, we have a schedule, or I have a schedule, that on Monday we do this, this, and this. Tuesday we do this, this, and this. Thursday we do this, this, and this. Now, on some days we do the same thing. The basics, like for instance, when you warm up, we have a thing called skills, which is basically a warm up with a little bit of coordination drill thrown in. And those are so important. And there's still some people who've been around a while who can't do them. So we work on them. And sometimes I'll actually come in and do one-on-one with the people to so they can do them a little bit better. But and then the other things we do are designed to address a variety of different problems, and also it depends on what's going on. Now, the last couple of weeks, I was over at CareMax. We had, all of a sudden we had like 3 or 4 ladies that came in with osteoporosis, had been diagnosed with osteoporosis. One was unusual, and it was diagnosed up in the shoulder area. Most time, osteoporosis usually in the hip area.
I don't know if it's osteoporosis or osteoarthritis.
No, osteoporosis.
Osteoporosis, yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the hip or on your spine.
Hip and your
usually.
spine.
Yeah, that's where the tests are.
And, you know, the old saying is, well, if she fell and broke her hip, might well have happened that her hip broke and she fell. So we started putting in some anti-osteoporosis type exercises to try to pressure the bones a little bit more to get some more calcium put back in the bones, which the body seems to know when it needs to do that. And if you have, you know, osteoporosis, you've been diagnosed, probably the worst thing you can do is sit on the couch, would you say?
Well, it's directly correlated with lack of activity.
Yeah.
If you're not active, you're gonna lose your bone.
Especially if you're female.
Female after menopause, your body is your body's different.
Yeah, it works differently.
So the more active you are, the more you preventing osteoporosis.
Yeah.
And since we talked about it, it's always good to go outside to get some sun. Whenever we say sun, we say vitamin D.
Sure.
We say vitamin D, calcium getting in the bone. So obviously, female, there is a measure that we want to make sure that the females, they get the bone density test. Sometimes male, we gotta have them to do it, but having a hip fracture late in life, it's a disaster. So that's why we want people to be very, very active, so they can be functional, so they don't fall. But also, the more active you are, the more you get the calcium in your bone, the less likely you will get osteoporosis. Obviously, you gotta get your calcium in your diet. You have to have the vitamin D going, but exercise plays a vital role in that.
Is it reversible?
Of course, yeah, it is reversible. The goal when you diagnose with osteoporosis is for you to get back to a normal bone. It's very unlikely, but you can get back to the middle way, which is osteopenia. Osteopenia means you're on your way to get osteoporosis, but right now it's standard of care. When you get diagnosed with osteoporosis, we give you a medication. One of them is called alendronate. In order to take this medication, you have to drink the pill fasting once a week. You get a big glass of water, because sometimes the medication it's very difficult to swallow. And then you cannot go lay down. You have to be either sitting down or going for a walk.
I would be, with the little time that we have left for this session, I want you to concentrate on the type of exercise you do with the patient with, I just had, as I'm about to say it, I just forgot what I was about to say. But
cognitive issues.
No, not the cognitive, the one with the, keep going, I'll think about it. Strokes.
Yeah. Strokes, yes.
You have a lot of patients that have strokes, and
they lost the mobility.
They lost the mobility, and because of the fact that you send them to a place to do therapy, they give them a limited amount. Where with you, they have unlimited amount of the time, and the doctor normally don't have to give them a referral. So the insurance is saving money, the practice is saving money, yet you
Well, stroke recovery is very slow and can be very frustrating. I'm sure Doc would say that there is a mental aspect to stroke. I mean, after a stroke,
Absolutely, no
And
doubt about it.
particularly I think with men, because you lose something, you know. I've had one guy that came to the first one, and first class I had, and he's been coming ever since. And he has a stroke with a very strange muscle, which is underneath the arm, right here. Right.
The muscle atrophy.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
he gets it's like he has a little arm going on, right?
That's right,
Because
yeah,
The muscle becomes so atrophied, so
It's just
you don't.
tight.
It
Yeah.
becomes tight, and
Yeah.
and so he has to use a type of something to hold the arm.
Yes, and so we try to stretch it and basically use it. Yeah, but using it can be very difficult, and like I say, it can be. The first thing I find with men with strokes in particular is that you have to overcome basically depression. You know, and you have to give them hope that, hey, you know, you can use this thing again. And even a lot of times, if it's up in here someplace, or maybe in the face or something like that, you can still have a normal life. It's just things are different.
Yeah, one of the aspects of strokes when you lose a limb, for example, is that the sooner you get, the better. The
Yeah.
sooner you start the rehabilitation process, it's better. And because once a few months pass, years pass, it's very unlikely that you're gonna regain the function again. I mean, after several years, you see people in a wheelchair, and they still want to continue physical therapy in order to regain the function. It's very difficult.
Well, guys, thank you for this session. It was a pleasure. It was a great conversation. A lot of information. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, and thank you for joining us. Remember, you could always subscribe on YouTube and Facebook, WSRF 1580, and tell your friend. And we're looking forward to see you guys. Again, my name is Gilbert Frank, and you could always reach me at 954-667-4885, 954-667-4885. I love you guys. See you guys soon. Bye-bye.